What's up, guys? Welcome back to Classic Octane. I am Taylor. We're back on the Barn to Brat project today, basically looking to kind of tackle a lot of the front end. I want to pull the forks off and replace these fork seals and these crappy old dust boots. I also want to try to bob, I guess it's called, this front fender. I don't know how many inches we're going to take out yet, but the idea here is we're going to take out a section, call it 6 inches out of the front, and then re-weld on the front so we keep this nice clean front edge, and then do the same thing on the back, chop off an amount and then weld it back together. We will lose these front two supports, but with a smaller fender, this center one is going to be way stronger anyway, so it's going to be more than enough for what we need. Let's do it. So instead of chopping up this relatively nice example of an original fender, I actually have an extra one from one of my old builds. I kind of keep these around. It actually really came in handy. Those of you who haven't gone back and watched my Triumph bobber build, this rear fender is actually a front fender off of a CB550. So it ended up working out perfect. These are the exact same mounts and everything you see on the front. I just kind of repurposed it for a rear fender for the bobber, and I was actually kind of testing out the different finishes on this front fender because it's in kind of rough shape, but where it's dented and messed up is actually where we're going to chop off. So I'm going to have this one kind of be the sacrificial piece, and we're going to chop it up and weld it and see how it works, and we'll see, one, how the finished product turns out on this, and we might just use it. Two, whatever we learn and mistakes we make on this one, we won't make on that one. So let's go ahead and start to measure up and see exactly how much we want to chop off each end and cut it off and see what happens. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. Out of the front, I'm going to chop right at 5 inches out of it. Yeah, pretty much 5 inches. Hopefully the contours will match up. Just looking at it by eye, it's before it starts to kind of bubble out a little bit, so they should match up decently well. Out of the back, I'm actually going to chop out more like almost a full foot out of it. This one's really dented right here in the middle. We have this speedometer cable hole down we don't care to keep because it's right in that dented area, and then a random hole I drilled to test something on that one, and then the 2 holes back here we also don't need. So I'm just going to chop it right behind this rear bracket and bring that all the way up here, and that will give us probably 10 or 11 inch total fender, which I think will hopefully look pretty good. So I'm going to make a straight line right here. I'm probably going to use just like a piece of masking tape to get a nice straight line on the front on each one of these cuts. Then we're just going to use a wire wheel, or not a wire wheel, cut-off wheel. Leave us a little bit of extra room, and we can always sand it down and make sure they fit up perfect, but that's the plan. Got everything chopped off. The fenders do get slightly smaller towards the end, but from what I can tell, I think I'll be able to just bend them out a little bit and then get them pretty darn close. So I haven't done any kind of final fit up or anything yet. Luckily it looks like the front isn't as drastic of a change as the back, so the back may not line up perfectly, but again, that'll be harder to see because it'll be kind of hidden behind the tire. The important one that I want to make sure for sure looks good is obviously that front one, which should be, yeah, this shorter side. So I think we're going to do pretty darn good. So what I'm going to do now is just take my other grinder with a flap disc and just start to kind of shave this edge and shave this edge a little bit and just get them to meet up perfectly. Then I'll flap disc off the chrome plating and we can start to tack weld it in place. Alright guys, I finished up kind of getting the fitment set up the way I want, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out the MIG welder now and see if we can't get some tacks in place and make it a little bit more permanent. We got the front fender all tacked together. I went ahead and started to finish this front part, but I wanted to pull off the original fender, get this new one on to make sure that it's actually going to look good before we put any more time into it. So we're going to go ahead and pull off stock fender, swap it over to this guy, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, I have the fender kind of temporarily bolted up. I wanted to get your opinion on what you guys think. I haven't totally finished welded it, and I would also end up probably painting it black. But before I put any more work into it, I kind of wanted to try it out on the bike, see how it looks, and get some feedback from you guys on whether or not I should keep it. So let me know in the comments below if you like the way this looks, or if you would trash it or kind of go with a different design. Alright, so we're going to hold off from going any further with the front fender until we kind of figure out if that's the design we want to go with or if it's something that we want to change. I'm going to go ahead and pull the front forks off and get these seals replaced. I already have a video earlier on my channel. I'll throw a card up right now to link to that on exact how-to of replacing fork seals on one of these bikes. So right now we're just going to go ahead and jump in there and knock them out and put the forks back in. We got this fork all done. The seal was a little bit tight and rusted in there, but we were able to kind of pry it out. And then I just hooked up the kind of wire wheel over there, and we wire wheeled the rust off of here and made sure this was all nice and clean, just so it went back super easy. We just put like 5.4 ounces of 10W30 oil, which is what the book calls for. And it's all back together and sealed up. So I also took a wire wheel and cleaned out the inside of the triple clamps because they were kind of rusted as well. I just put it on a little Dremel and got in there and cleaned them off. This is also a good opportunity for us to pull off our headlight mounts. We're not going to be using these stock ones. We'll be using kind of a more universal style one. So take the opportunity that we have these forks out to actually pull those off. Now we can slide them back in. I'm going to slide them up probably 10 millimeters past the top triple clamp, and what that's going to do is help us just lower the front end just a little bit, so we'll have kind of a more level stance, and we can kind of play around with that later. But yeah, we're all done with the first one. It's going to be basically rinse and repeat on the other side. We got the other side done. We ended up running into a bit of an issue where the bolt on the bottom, the little Allen head bolt, I have no idea where it went, was stripped out. So we had to kind of drill it out and use an impact driver, and luckily I'm like I said in the last video, a motorcycle hoarder, and I actually had a spare one that we could use, which was awesome. So we got both the fork seals totally done. It looks way, way better than the crusty old ones before, plus we got the forks and tubes all you know, degreased and cleaned up. Headlights just kind of hanging here right now because we're not utilizing the big stock headlight mounts. We're going to actually get some smaller ones. I may even look into actually getting a smaller headlight. If you guys have any suggestions on that, let me know. But that's going to be it for the fork seals. Like I said, I have a video I linked to in this video of me doing the fork seals in kind of more in-depth and a step-by-step how-to on how to do it. So I didn't want to cover that again on this video. On the next video, we are going to dive a little bit more into the parts that I bought. I'm still missing a few, so as they come in, I can actually make a full parts overview video. But we did get our frame hoop in, so we will be chopping the back half of this off, welding in our new frame hoop, making a bracket for the seat, and then we can see how far we get after that. So make sure to check back in next Monday for an update. My website is now fully stocked of all of my shirts. I've been out of some sizes for a while, so I'm actually using a new service to help fulfill orders, and we don't have to worry about running out of inventory or anything because they print them on demand and send everything for me. So please go check that out. I have stickers, and I'm going to be adding some hats and some other stuff available too. Check out my Instagram, just @ClassicOctane, and I'll see you guys next week.